The clanking of weights echoed through the early morning air, a familiar rhythm in the iron sanctuary known as Iron Forge Gym. The air, thick with the smell of metal and raw determination, was a perfume for the dedicated. It was 6 a.m., a time when the gym belonged to the regulars, the true believers. But even here, egos could sometimes outweigh the dumbbells. Among the faithful was Tasha Reynolds, a black woman in her mid-30s. Her presence was quiet, her eyes calm, but there was an undeniable current of strength that flowed just beneath the surface. She loved these early hours. Less noise, fewer distractions, more focus. This morning, however, her peace was about to be shattered. As she adjusted the bar in the bench press, a shadow fell over her. A tall, bulky man, his arms covered in a tapestry of tattoos, stepped uncomfortably close. "Hey there," he grinned, his voice a low rumble. "You look like you could use a spot." Tasha didn't bother to look up from her task. Her focus was absolute. "No thanks. I've got it." Her tone was polite but firm, leaving no room for negotiation. But he wasn't one to take a hint. He leaned in closer, invading her personal space. "Come on, don't be shy. I've been watching you. You're strong for a girl." A slow, controlled exhale escaped her lips. The air in her lungs felt heavy with his condescension. "Sir, please move." His response was a dismissive laugh. "Feisty, I like that." And then he crossed a line. He reached out, his hand closing around her wrist with a sense of entitlement. The ambient noise of the gym seemed to halt. A few heads turned, curious glances darting their way. But no one stepped in. The world seemed to hold its breath. Tasha's gaze dropped to his hand gripping her wrist, then slowly lifted to meet his eyes. They were sharp, steady, and held a warning he was too arrogant to see. "Let go." He just smirked, a picture of smug confidence. "Make me." In a single fluid motion that was almost too fast to follow, she twisted her arm, using his own grip against him. She locked his elbow, pivoted, and in a graceful arc, flipped him face first onto the padded mat. The thud echoed through the silent gym, punctuated by a collective gasp from the onlookers. Before he could even process what had happened, she was on him, a knee planted firmly on his back, his wrist secured in a clean, tactical hold that left no room for struggle. "You done?" she asked, her voice as calm as a placid lake. The man grunted, his face contorted in a mix of pain and shock. "What the... Who are you?" She leaned down, her voice a low whisper near his ear. "Someone who asked nicely." Just then, a trainer hurried over, his face a mask of concern. "Tasha, are you okay?" She nodded, not breaking her hold. "Yeah, but he might need some ice." As she released him, the man scrambled to his feet, his face burning with a furious red humiliation. "You're gonna regret that," he snarled. Tasha simply looked at him, her expression cool and unbothered. "Not likely." He shot one last glare around the room before storming out, muttering curses under his breath. But Tasha had a feeling this wasn't the last she'd see of him. Later that same day, Tasha was navigating the aisles of the local grocery store, her mind on her shopping list. As she loaded a carton of eggs into her cart, a familiar, unwelcome figure caught her eye near the entrance. It was him, the man from the gym. He spotted her almost immediately, and a nasty smirk spread across his face. "Well, if it isn't the tough girl, thought you could embarrass me and get away with it, huh?" Tasha's jaw tightened, but she refused to give him the reaction he craved. She simply ignored him and continued pushing her cart down the aisle. But he wasn't going to be ignored. He followed her, his voice rising with every step. "You think you're better than me? You're nothing." The cashier at a nearby register glanced over, her eyes wide with alarm. She whispered, "Is everything okay?" Tasha offered her a reassuring nod, her composure unshaken. "Just someone who doesn't know when to quit." Her calm only seemed to enrage him further. He lunged forward and grabbed her shoulder. "I said don't walk away from me." It was the same mistake, different location. Before he could even tighten his grip, she pivoted on the balls of her feet. Another swift, efficient wrist lock disarmed him completely, and he went sprawling once again, this time between the canned goods and the breakfast cereals. The clatter of his fall brought security running. Within moments, the wail of police sirens filled the air outside. One of the responding officers took in the scene, the man on the floor, the scattered groceries, and Tasha, standing perfectly composed. "Ma'am," the officer said, his tone respectful. "You seem trained." A small, almost imperceptible smile touched her lips. "A bit." The officer nodded, impressed by her demeanor. "Would you mind showing me your ID?" She reached into her wallet and handed it over. It wasn't a driver's license. It was a military ID card. The officer's eyes widened as he read the text. Lind Commander Tasha Reynolds, U.S. Navy SEAL, retired. He looked up at her, a new level of respect dawning in his eyes. "Ma'am, thank you for your service." The man, now being helped into handcuffs on the floor, looked up in utter disbelief. "She's a what?" Tasha crossed her arms, her gaze finally settling on her harasser. "A Navy SEAL," she stated, her voice clear and strong. "You picked the wrong girl to mess with." The officer couldn't help but chuckle. "He's facing assault charges. Do you want to press them?" Tasha paused, considering the man whimpering on the floor. "No," she said finally. "Just let him learn something from this." The man looked up, bewildered. "Learn what?" She leaned in close, her voice low and direct. That respect isn't a sign of weakness, and that real strength doesn't always look like what you expect it to. A few weeks later, a news clip started making the rounds online. Local woman single-handedly stops harasser. Turns out she's a retired Navy SEAL. Tasha, who had always avoided the spotlight, cringed at the attention. But one day at the gym, her perspective shifted. A young woman approached her, her eyes shining with admiration. "Because of you," she said, "I feel safer working out alone now." In that moment, Tasha smiled a genuine, heartfelt smile. That feeling, that impact, was worth more than any medal or commendation. She had learned long ago that true strength isn't about looking for a fight. It's about protecting what's right and doing it without ever losing your calm. If you enjoy stories like this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful true stories. Have a wonderful day ahead.